Welcome to Hockey Nights in Vegas, episode 110. My name is Eddie Rivkin. I'm joined, as always, by Chris Chapman of Fox Sports Las Vegas and the Vegas Golden Knights pre- and post-game show. This episode, like all the others, is brought to you by the Las Vegas Advisor at lasvegasadvisor.com, by my good friend Dr. John Pierce at agelessforever.net, and by Joe Riccio and Boris at the Marathon Law Group, marathonlawgroup.com. Before we get into the playoff situation and the four series that are currently going on, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you know who Garrett Rank and Grant Skilleter are?
I don't know the second guy, Garrett Rank. I know the name. Is he a ref?
He is a ref. And
Okay.
that's going to lead us into my thing that I really kind of need to get off my chest.
Okay.
I am a devout hockey fan, as you know.
Right.
And I'm going to go off on a little tangent about the refereeing in the playoffs. And before I do that, this has nothing to do with the Golden Knights results or the results of any of the other games. It has to do with the integrity of the game. Garrett Rank is the official who was standing a foot and a half above the goal line when Riley Smith scored the goal with 0.4 seconds left in the game and waved it off. He had a clear view, right? If the puck disappeared and then reappeared, that means it had to have gone over the goal line. And he waved it off. And there's a picture up there, or you can watch the video. Clear as day. Riley Smith skates through the frame. Puck goes in, hits the camera, comes right back out. And this jackass is waving it off. Controversy happens. The ref goes out and he says, the call on the ice is a good goal, but the play is under review. And the guy's waving like he's flying to save his life. Okay? The integrity of the game is everything, right? We talked about player safety. If the players don't really know a lot about how the game is being called, they don't know where that line is. We talked about that in the last episode.
And full evidence of that is the Florida-Toronto series.
Oh, that's a street fight in New York.
Yeah, like it's been bad. That series has been much, much worse than any of the other series.
But here's what's even worse. Grant Skilleter is the referee in the Dallas-Winnipeg series. Did you see what Mason Marchment did?
Yes.
Okay. For those of you who didn't, Mason Marchment is a bit of a hothead. He plays the game on the edge, right? He didn't get a couple calls that he thought he should have got. He's chirping at the ref big time. Borderline unsportsmanlike minor penalty. But he skates by, and he gives him a slash on the shins.
Yeah. Now, in the regular season, he probably does get the unsportsmanlike penalty.
At least, wait, he gets the unsportsmanlike penalty for the chirp.
Yes. The after what you're getting to is much, much worse.
This is absolutely fucking absurd. You slashed a fucking referee.
Yeah.
A few years ago, a Calgary Flame player, and his name escapes me, ran over a linesman and got 20 games, and it was reduced to 10. This is the Stanley Cup playoffs with millions of viewers watching. The gem of our game, right?
Yeah.
This guy drives by and slashes the referee. Now, it was not a two-handed baseball swing. That's not the point, right? What in the fucking fuckery? The league said it's basically up to the official to decide if he wants something, if he wants to suspend him or fine him or whatever. I don't know how. Are you old enough to remember Slapshot?
Yes, I've seen it many times.
The greatest hockey movie of all time. No disrespect to Miracle. This was better.
Yeah, it's Paul Newman.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Hanson brothers mugged a ref.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
How in the fuck in the Stanley Cup playoffs, with everybody in the world watching, does a player skate by a ref, chop him in the shins, and the league says, well, it's really kind of up to the referee in that situation to decide if there should be punishment after. Didn't call him for a penalty at all.
Yeah.
Right? This is absolutely fucking bananas. Right? What happens if, I don't know, pick the biggest thug in the game right now. skates.
The fucking guy in Tampa, right? He's a piece of shit.
Or Evander Kane, he's a known piece of shit.
Yeah.
What happens if he decides to skate by the referee and slew foot him?
Yeah. Yeah. It's up to the referee. First of all, it should not be up. Now, it should be up to him to call penalty.
Well, yes.
But as far as supplementary discipline, that's not on the ref.
If you're Gary Bettman, right, the esteemed commissioner of the NHL for 32 years, how in the fuck do you not protect your officials?
Yeah.
And the integrity of the game. That's the theme of this bananas rant. The integrity of the game. This is absurd. If you watch the Florida Maple Leaf series, the refereeing's been horrible.
Yeah. I mean, and that's now to the point where
what are they going to do?
There's going to be someone getting seriously injured in that series, because you could see Matthew Tkachuk. He's got a couple guys. Is it Nylander that he's basically telling, I'm going to fucking get you? Well, if he gets him, is the league going to? I mean, he's clearly indicated he's going to commit a violent act on
a player.
So is the league going to step in and do something? And listen, I happen to like Matthew Tkachuk. I think he's a good player. I like that he plays
on the edge.
Crosses it sometimes. It's a bit like Tom Wilson. I happen to think Tom Wilson is a really good player. He's an asshole on the ice, but I think the Golden Knights right now wish they had a guy like Tom Wilson on their team. But I as far as the officiating, here's the problem. And we were having, I overheard some of the Edmonton media when we went into the room on Thursday night after Arvidsson got away with the trip on McNabb. That's a play that should never have happened because it was on an icing, and they eliminated touch icing just for that type of play. So when you're not calling or blowing the whistle for things that are actually in the rule book, and the players don't really know what's a penalty, what's not, there's confusion, this is what you get. And we talked about it. Players, I mean, you had a whole rant last year about Nick Cousins and how much you dislike Nick Cousins. But when you have players like Nick Cousins, Evander Kane, Tom Wilson, Matthew Tkachuk, who play on that edge and do cross it at times.
But the point is, nobody knows what the edge is.
That's the problem.
That to me, that's not a problem. That's the problem.
Yeah, and it's on the league to define. Like, listen,
it's on the league to define it. It's on the referees to enforce the line that's drawn. I don't give a
shit what Mason Marchment thought.
No, fuck no.
He was wronged about.
No.
You do not, and this is a cardinal rule, not just in the NHL, in any fucking sport.
It's insane.
You do not ever make contact with an official. I remember, and listen, I'm a New York Mets fan. I remember years and years ago when Roberto Alomar spit in the face of an umpire. He should have been banned for the rest of the season. I think he got 12 games.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which is a big time suspension in Major League Baseball for a non-PED violation.
Yeah, but 12 games in 162
yeah,
less than
10%.
It
was towards the end of the season. I think they were in the pennant race at the time, but still, it's total bullshit.
Punitive judgment shouldn't be determined by the situation and the time that it's committed.
Right. As far as I'm concerned, Mason Marchment should be done for the rest of the playoffs.
He should no. Mason Marchment should be looking at 40 games, half a season.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty big.
If you are the head of referees, I think the head of referees right now is Dave Jackson.
Right,
the guy who's the commentator.
Is he the head of the?
Anyway, whoever the head of the NHL Officials Association.
Yeah.
Whoever that person is, doesn't matter who it is. What do you tell your guys, Chris? What do you say to them when a slash not only gets the referee decides not to call a penalty on the play?
Stephen Walkom.
Oh, Stephen Walkom. That's right.
Vice President and Director of Officiating to the National Hockey League.
So you're Stephen Walkom now. Every referee, then there's 22 referees and 22 linesmen,
right,
has seen that video. And not only did Graham Skilleter not call a penalty, the league, supplemental discipline, whatever player, it's not player safety, it's the league itself.
Yeah.
Decides, well, we'll let that's
is that Bettman? Is he the one who makes that decision?
I mean, ultimately, it probably goes up the chain through Bill Daly to him, right? But how do you say, we don't know, guys? We hope you're going to be safe out there. They don't wear full pads.
No. And we've seen players, guys get hurt,
right? We've seen linesmen dumped over the bench a couple of times.
We saw a couple weeks ago. We saw a guy
got steamrolled.
Yeah,
and the backup referee came out to be a linesman.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, it's just I love watching hockey. I watch it religiously, especially this time of year.
It's the best. It's the best playoff.
But I'm afraid for the game. The integrity of the game. Just if you were a parent and you had a young kid, 4, 5, 6, 7, had a little interest in hockey, and you sat him down and you're going to watch the playoffs, like my dad sat me down and we watched the playoffs and we watched Hockey Night in Canada every Saturday night for forever, right? And in the first game that this new kid who saw something about hockey, the first game was the last game between the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. What kind of look is that for the NHL?
It's a shit look, is what it is. I mean, you're dealing with a series now where, and if you want,
this is going to be like a gang violence movie.
Yeah, but if you want to, talk about complete loss of control, like.
But how are they going to fix it tonight?
They can't. They can't.
The only way they can fix it is to overmanage it and start calling penalties from the very first infraction.
What's that saying? Once the genie's out of the bottle, she doesn't go back in.
You can't do that because then the referee is directly affecting the outcome of the game
by
assigning power plays.
Right. And the issue with that series is it started very early when Sam Bennett
got Stolarz.
He destroyed Anthony Stolarz. And I don't want to hear, he was part of our team last year. We won the cup. That's bullshit. Your guy went into his area and fucking
smashed him.
And then there's Florida fans who are saying, he took a puck off the mask. Guys get hit with the puck in the face all the fucking time. Very rarely do they have to leave a game due to a concussion with that. I'm guessing it had something to do with the fucking elbow that Anthony Stolarz got from Sam Bennett in that situation.
The drive-by.
And the fact that Toronto basically didn't really retaliate much.
They didn't.
It was soft because you know what? We saw it last night in the Golden Knights game. Aiden Hill was getting bumped into an awful lot. Even after he went after Evander Kane, Zach Hyman was in his grill all night, bumping him. And it kind of pissed me off that there really wasn't. You get a power play out of that, and you basically do fucking nothing with it.
Yeah, we're going to get to that, but I just needed to get that off my chest because it's really bothering me watching hockey.
Well, it should bother everybody because, we talk about it time and time again. People at home, they have a very different perspective. They may hate certain players and they may dislike teams, but we have a very different perspective because we're in the locker room. We talk to these guys. They're fucking human beings, and they shouldn't be subjected to some of the fucking hits and the violence. Listen, on the ice is one thing. These guys all know the risk when they go out there in between the whistles. I have a real issue with the after the whistle bullshit that doesn't get called. Guys getting fucking, hit in the face or, punched in the head after the whistle. Like, you know what? If a guy's like Evander Kane fucking sucker punched Shea Theodore last night, knocked his helmet off. Well, that's after the whistle. And I'm not saying it should be a penalty, but maybe it should. I mean, I think it's. I don't want to see guys get injured. At the end of the day, I don't want to see anybody get seriously hurt. And if the league doesn't do anything about it, you're not only now putting players at risk, you're putting your referees at risk, which is
the most ridiculous.
It's unacceptable.
Yeah. All right, so that's the end of the officiating rant. We're going to get our first break in and get a word in from Dr. John Pierce at Ageless Forever, and then we're going to get after the 4 remaining series in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll be right back.
So if there's a little bit too much whip in the shaft of your hockey stick and you want to be able to hit the back of the net, here's your answer, but I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I'm going to let my good friend Dr. Pierce tell you exactly what this bad boy is and prepare to be amazed.
This is the Phoenix Pro. This is a home unit to deliver extracorporeal, I call it sound wave therapy. The technical term is shock wave therapy.
Here's where we get to the fun stuff, kids.
Okay? And they applied it to their genitalia, and they found that, yes, indeed, it improves blood flow. When we talk about, male genitalia, what is an erection? It is a blood flow issue. So if you're having issues and you've gone to see your doctor, you've had your testosterone balanced, and you're doing those things, and it's working great. If you're finding that you're using a medication like Viagra, Cialis, something like that, and you're finding less and less effect, that means that the blood flow isn't as good. Something like this can help to mitigate that issue.
So let me break this down for you in layman's terms. If your junk is more like a pool noodle than a pool cue, it's going to make your junk hard. Dr. John Pierce, Ageless Forever, www.agelessforever.net. Don't be shy. Send a message. The first consultation is free. You'll meet with Dr. Pierce personally. You'll have the ability to share whatever it is you want to share. This bad boy works. So, something for you to think about. www.agelessforever.net. Send a message. Take advantage of the free consultation, and let's get you to be the best you can be.
All right, chap, we're back. We're going to do something different. 4 series. The first 3, we're going to take 5 minutes, not a second longer.
You got the alarm going.
I got the alarm going on my phone right there. So
okay.
let's start out with the Florida Panthers and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Do you hear that?
No.
No?
No.
I hear whistling. I think it's the rectums of the Toronto Maple Leafs fans whose asshole is puckered so tight that it's whistling songs. Why is their asshole whistling?
I don't want to know.
Well, because they were very dominant in 2 games at home.
Yeah.
Looked great. Leafs Nation. It's finally going to happen.
Yeah.
And then they go to Florida and they get fucking boat raced in 2 games. And it's 2-2. And they're the Maple Leafs number 1 cheerleader, Paul missed the net. He's nervous. His tinfoil hat's on.
Yeah.
He's channeling.
His tie is a little loose. His collar's unbuttoned.
His yellow ambassador shirt has pit stains.
Yeah.
This series has turned. And Game 5 is tonight in Toronto. Toronto's in big trouble.
Oh, Game 5 is tomorrow. They play Wednesday.
That's right. They got the extra day.
We only got the 1 game tonight, Dallas and Winnipeg. But, Eddie, I think Toronto needed to win one of the 2 games in Florida.
They needed to have a bumper.
Yeah, because now it's a best of 3. I don't think Florida is the least bit intimidated going into that building.
No.
Joseph Wall has not been good. He was good on Sunday. He was good Sunday. But the problem is,
I'm not laying it on him.
No, but here's my issue. You got a good game out of him on Sunday, and the rest of your team laid an egg. Can you rely on him to win you 2 of the next 3 games? I don't think so. I don't believe in him.
If you have to depend on him, you're fucked.
Well, yeah. Where's
nothing wrong? Listen, that's not an indictment of him.
No, but that's a team that should not have to win games.
Look what's in front of the goalie.
Right. Where's Austin Matthews? Where's William Nylander? Where's John Tavares? Where's Mitchell Marner? Where's Morgan Riley?
those are all valid, but the most valid, and listen, Austin Matthews has been hurt all year. There's
fair point.
There's no question about that. But he put the sweater on.
Right. Which means you're good enough to go.
And he's making $14 million a year, and he's I think 0-6. No goals, 6 assists, I think. But no goals.
Yeah.
$14 million. The Cat had 69 goals last year and high 30s or low 40s this year. And he's starring in the remake of The Invisible Man.
Yeah.
And I just think that I think Toronto's in deep trouble. I think the Panthers, when they smashed Tampa, kind of established that they were back. But in this series now, they've basically shown Toronto what exactly is going to go on. And I don't see it getting even to Game 7. I think Florida wins on Wednesday night and then probably Friday night in Sunrise. Whoa. Do you think India could get me credentials for the Friday night game in Sunrise? I'm going to be in Miami.
Yeah, she might be able to.
Oh, I need to ask her that.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
That'd be really, I like that building.
Yeah.
They had good snacks in the press box.
Oh, I got to go there.
God forbid my fat ass shouldn't have M&Ms. But, I mean, this series, when we handicapped it in the beginning, it was just a matter of the only reason the defending Stanley Cup champs didn't get through is maybe they played a whole bunch of hockey. And they have played a whole bunch of hockey. But guess what? They're back at full health. Brad Marchand is Brad Marchand, and you love him, and I fucking hate him.
Yeah.
But he's been a monster in that series.
That's a deep team,
That's
too.
a deep team. Do you see any way Toronto gets out of this?
I don't see it. I would like to see Toronto just because I think it'd be really cool.
Dope.
But no.
Dope. That's it. So we're both going with Florida finally gets it done.
Yes.
Let's go to the sleepiest series. Let's talk next about the Washington Capitals and the Carolina Rod the Bod Hurricanes. I picked Washington because I just didn't think that, I think Carolina is a really, really good team, but they lack a superstar. But what they don't lack is Rod the Bod's style of play.
He's a great fucking coach.
And they have imposed their will on the Washington Capitals. Ovi scored yesterday. It was his first goal in the series.
It didn't matter. It made zero difference.
It was a completely irrelevant bomb from his office, at the dot.
Was it 3-1 at the time?
I think he made it 3-2, and then Carolina made it 4-2 a minute later, and then the empty netter for 5.
They're going to win this series.
Carolina is going to win this series, and I'm going to lose my pick on that, but they have completely shut down Washington.
Yeah. I think one of the keys, which I'm shocked, Freddie Anderson's been really, really good.
He's been, if there wasn't this one guy called Mikko Rantanen,
he's absolutely
he's Conn Smythe good, in my opinion.
And listen, if that team goes, and I can't believe I heard it last night, they're the favorites to win the Stanley Cup.
No, that's impossible.
That's what I heard on the broadcast.
On whose broadcast?
On the TNT broadcast last night.
No, that's bananas.
It can't be.
No.
But if that team goes on to win a Stanley Cup and Dallas doesn't get there, like if they beat Edmonton or they beat Winnipeg to win the Stanley Cup, and Freddie Anderson continues this.
He's the Conn Smythe.
Yeah, I mean when they won it, Cam Ward was their won the Conn Smythe.
Right, unless Sebastian Aho goes on a roarer,
but that's not really his style.
Right.
Yeah, he's not going to do that. But that team is, again, we don't see a lot of them, but they can roll 4 lines. Defensively, they're solid. The question mark has always been, can they get good goaltending play in the playoffs?
Well, listen, everything they have is based on, does Freddie Anderson stay healthy?
And he's been good. He's been really good for them.
He missed a little bit, but he's back now.
He's outplayed the guy that a lot of Golden Knight fans cry that they should have kept.
That guy, who shall go nameless, he's played well, but not outstanding.
He's been okay.
He's given up his traditional.
He was bad the other night.
Right? I mean,
Sunday.
soft days and stuff like that. There was that incredible stat that our friend Jesse Granger of The Athletic gave to me before one game. He was second in goals above whatever that stat is called.
Goals above average.
Goal above average or replacement or whatever that stat. He was second in the NHL. And then he signed his contract, and he finished 57th.
Oh.
And we'll clear. I'll ask Jesse to clear that what that stat. Basically he was like the second best goalie in the league. Then he signed his deal. Then he turned into a giant steaming pile of shit.
Yeah, basically, clock struck midnight. Carriage turned back into a pumpkin.
Right. But what's more impressive to me is Carolina's style of play, and what's the most disappointing is Washington has no answer. Well, I mean, they went 5 periods and 5 minutes without scoring a goal.
Yeah, and listen,
in the Stanley Cup playoffs,
you're not going to win a lot of. Carolina does not play the most aesthetically pleasing game.
No.
But they are a very good team, very well coached. They consistently get to the playoffs. They consistently win around in the playoffs. It's a good team. And maybe this is a year they go on the run. I don't think they'll beat the I don't think they'll beat the Panthers. It'll be a repeat of 2 years ago where Florida absolutely wiped the floor with them. I just think it's a bad matchup for them.
I think it's a much more competitive go-around.
I think
this
so,
time,
too. Yeah.
For sure, especially if Freddie's in net.
Yeah.
If Freddie's in net, that series has the makings of a war.
Was Kochetkov in net for them? I don't remember who it was.
It was somebody not named
Freddie
Anderson.
Yeah.
You know.
Who's going to be the starting goalie for Denmark in the Olympics, assuming he's healthy, with our friend Jonas Rondbjerg playing alongside of him. So
I don't see any way Washington gets out of this.
I don't see it either. I think Carolina. I would not be shocked if Carolina. I think they may lose Game 5.
They ain't losing 6 at home.
No, they're not losing Game 6 at home. They're not losing 3 straight.
I think at the end of the day, the lack of adversity that Washington saw during the regular season
caught up with them.
Might exactly be.
It's what we've been saying all year.
The beginning of their downfall.
Yeah.
We'll be right back to do the Western Conference Series after a word from Joe Riccio and Boris at the Marathon Law Group.
I'm here with Joe Riccio from Marathon Law Group. And Joe, sometimes when couples go through divorce, one of the partners will deprive the other partner of visitation with their children. Obviously, this is never a good situation for anybody. So what steps can someone take to maybe deal with this type of issue if it arises?
Well, no, thanks, Chris. One of the most important things you can do is make sure that you have a court order. And in the state of Nevada, over the last several years, the Nevada legislature has moved towards involving both parents and finding it best for children to be involved, or parents to be involved with both children equally, both on the legal custody and the physical custody side of things. So if you're being denied time or deprived time, whether it's in a court order or not, you definitely want to take measures to prove or at least show the court that you've been making those overt efforts and that the other side has been depriving you.
So maybe like keeping a calendar or something like that and marking when you have visitation with the child, maybe marking when you should, and if you don't get visitation on that particular day.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only could you keep a calendar log, but there's applications that the parties can get into without the court for free that allow them to communicate that the court can look at when that time is right. And then there's other mechanisms that you can engage in as well, such as text messaging and emailing and making sure you're keeping those records.
All right, chap, we're back. Obviously, we're going to do the Golden Knights series last.
Right.
So let's talk Dallas and Winnipeg. In the words of good old JR, this has been a slobber knocker.
It's been a good series so far.
It's been a really good series, but if you hearken back to a couple episodes ago when I brought out my master impressionist impression of Connor Hellebuck, guess what? That impression seems to be spot on.
Yeah, well, listen.
He's going to cost them the series.
I think they're I think Dallas is just a deeper team. I think that's probably what when I watch a series, but that game the other day was wild because
it was crazy.
And I still don't know and full disclosure, from what I've heard, the rule book is kind of, when it comes to the quote kicking motion, it kind of contradicts itself. I was satisfied with the explanation of why the goal stood.
To me, it was very simple. He knocked the puck in his own net.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with it. 8 minutes is too much.
Oh, they spent way too long on that.
I mean, there has to be a way to, yes, we always want them to get the call right. But the rule is what the rule is. The motion that directed the puck into the net was the motion of the goaltender.
Right.
To me, end of story.
Because
stop. Stop.
I don't know if the puck goes in without Hellebuck.
Well, that's it. I don't think it does, and
it's pretty clear, very cut and dry. You watch that replay once, you see who knocks the puck into the net,
and that's why I don't understand why it took 8 minutes.
And I'm not a believer in, and some people may drive them nuts when I say it. I don't believe in hypotheticals, like maybe it was going to go in because anything could happen. A player could somehow get his stick on that and keep it out.
You have to deal in absolutes of what you know.
Right.
And
what you know is Hellebuck knocked the puck in the net.
And it's a bad look for the NHL that it takes 8 minutes to sort that out.
It's like the fucking NFL.
They have looks that we're not privy to. We learned that about 6 or 7 episodes when we found out there was actually a camera in the crossbar.
And we legit 2 of them.
Right.
2 cameras. We legitimately saw them.
And that was our investigative unit that went after the game and did a little snooping.
We looked
Bill.
at the game nets. Yeah, we legitimately went under and looked at the game nets, and we could see, yep, sure enough, sure as shit, there's 2 cameras right there on the goal line.
So Toronto, the Situation Room where all this stuff is reviewed at, has views that the TV coverage doesn't have. And there's a bunch of guys in the Situation Room, but one guy is assigned to the game.
Yeah.
And then he has people, like a normal chain of command kind of thing, to discuss stuff, right? The referees, they get a look, but ultimately Toronto decides the outcome, the eventual, end of it. It just, the Jeopardy theme song is 30 seconds long. They would have had to play it 16 times for us to get an answer that, to me, was fairly clear.
Basically, they could have played fucking Pink Floyd "Shine on You Crazy Diamond."
Right. And Dallas is the better team.
They are. Yeah, they're going to win the series, I think.
And the Vezina Trophy winner, the Hart Trophy candidate, probably not the Hart Trophy winner, I wouldn't think.
No, I don't think so.
But he, unfortunately, has also solidified his reputation as a real terrible playoff goalie. His save percentage on the road, I think, is in the 600s or maybe low 700s.
Yeah, that's not good for a guy who is supposedly the best goalie in the league.
62 starts in the regular season.
Yeah, he's
and this is not a one-off.
No,
this is
he got lit up by Vegas 2 years ago,
and they got lit up last year.
Yeah,
this is,
and they were. I don't want to say a period away, but they weren't. It's not like they were convincing against the Blues.
No,
and they were horrific
on the road.
On the road in that series.
This is systemic, right?
So they have not.
Go ahead, finish your
They
thought.
have not won a game on the road in the playoffs.
7 in a row, I think.
Yeesh. Not going to win a Stanley Cup doing that.
And it just shows you the President's Cup
doesn't mean shit.
Is the it's put candy in it on your desk.
Yeah.
That's what it's worth. Anyway, Winnipeg gets out of this. They got home ice.
If they win tonight, they have a chance. If they lose, it's done. They can't go down 3-1. That's simple.
Do you have any faith that they can win a game in Dallas?
I think they could. I don't think they will.
Okay. Well, we've done our 2 commercials. We're running at an amazing clip.
Yes.
Time-wise.
The 5-minute rule kind of works.
I kind of like it. And I guess we got to thank, Tony Kornheiser and Wilbon on PTI for, the timing of things. But let's get after the Golden Knights, and we won't use the 5-minute because there's certainly a lot more to unpack.
Yeah.
From our perspective. Last night, the Golden Knights got shut out 3-0. And beside the result, Chris, it was a disturbing lack of effort, very similar to Game 1 at home.
Yeah, I think outside the last night, and we could start there, it was very similar to Game 1 in that from the second period on, you knew who the better team was in that game. Vegas was good in the first period in Game 1, not very good the rest of the game. Yet they still had a chance to win it. Last night, from start, they were completely outplayed by the Edmonton Oilers. Edmonton was the better team, and there's zero doubt about that. I thought Edmonton looked faster. They're an older team, but yet they looked faster. They got to a lot more 50-50 pucks, I thought. I mean, you have Connor McDavid blocking shots late in the third period up 3-0. I mean, what the fuck? So, and what really pissed me off, I guess, and I'm not a fan, but clearly I like the guys on the team. I want to see them have success. I don't actively root for them. But what pissed me off, and if I was a fan, I'd be furious about, they're down 3-0 last night in the third period. Goalies pulled. There's like 3.5 minutes ago. Riley Smith, who was the hero in Game 3, he's on the doorstep, has a look, and what does he do? He passes the puck. It's broken up. They don't even get a shot on net. That was, to me,
that's indicative of the way they play hockey. The whole season.
I understand that there's this unselfish mentality. There's this, I want to set my teammate up for a better look. And at the end of the day, that passive style is probably going to cost them. Now, I'm not saying if they shoot more, they win this series. But the shitty thing about where we're at in this series is the Golden Knights have been the better team for 2 games.
I agree.
And they're facing elimination on Wednesday night in Vegas. So sometimes being the better team, look, they were the victim of some bad luck in Game 2. It happens. They went out and did what they needed to do in Game 3. They were the better team on the road in that building, which is
difficult.
And that place was fucking off the rails last night. But then you come out, and I hate to say it, but you laid a fucking egg.
To me, what was most disappointing is didn't seem to be any sense of urgency.
Right.
They won a game in Game 3. They absolutely 100% deserved to win. Regardless of how they won.
They were the better team.
They were the better team up and down. Shots-wise, every statistic that we don't ever talk about. The eyeball test said that they were the better team.
Yeah, I don't ever go in depth with the Corsi and all that.
And they had the opportunity to make this a 3-game series with 2 games in our barn.
Yeah.
And they didn't show up. I mean, I have to do this real quick. I want to give one quick shout out to a friend of the podcast, Nick Hague, for fucking laying the smack down on Trent Frederick with about 9 or 10 real solid uppercuts.
Boy, he can throw.
He can swing.
He can go.
Right? And Trent Frederick, much smaller fella, but he's a tough guy. And right now he's looking at imprints of Nick Hague's right hand on his face.
And Nick Hague got a good left in there, too.
And then at the end, he dropped a nice left hook. So, Nick, friend of the podcast, love you. Thanks for standing up. But now back to the bad stuff. It was inexplicably bad There
Yeah.
was no desperation.
Well, they got taken out of their game very early. Like the
It was
first
a bad turnover. 2 minutes in,
Yeah.
easy goal. Both defensemen facing the boards. Puck goes
Hagen,
right,
White
but-
Cloud, yeah.
right? But going down 1-0, not a big deal. Going down 2-0, not a big deal.
You were down 2-0 on Saturday.
Saw that in Game 3, but there was absolutely no response. There was no pushback. Right?
None more indicative. They had 3 power plays in the first period. They mustered up 2 shots on 3 power plays. Pretty closely bunched together as well. Like they had one right after the other. And it was the lack of, it wasn't even a lack of finishing. They weren't even getting good shots off. And they looked so discombobulated on all 3 of those power plays, and full marks to the Oilers for
Making the adjustment.
well, like Evander Kane goes in the box for
Some stupid Evander Kane
running
thing.
over Aiden Hill. They say your buddy missed in the net, as you like to call him, said oh, he was cross checked and irrelevant. That team rallied around their guy. And they killed off the penalty.
Right.
Whether right or wrong, they killed that penalty. And they killed the other 2 penalties. The roughing penalty, I don't remember who they called it on. But, at the end of the day, Edmonton has been, I think, the better team in the series. And even though I think Vegas has outplayed them in 2 games, I think when it's mattered most, Edmonton has been better.
It
And
mattered most last night.
and last night was the most important because I truly believed going into last night, and you and I didn't talk about this, but I'm guessing you maybe felt the same way. Whoever won last night was going to win the series.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Because if Vegas had won both games in Edmonton, you're coming home, riding that wave of momentum. You now know you've got 2 games at home.
Right.
Even if you lose Game 6, you've got Game 7 at home.
And you got Uncle Mo.
Right. All that momentum. Can Edmonton recapture it?
Sure.
But
they did.
they did, yeah. And maybe the thing that, because Stuart Skinner had been hot shit in the playoffs.
They didn't really test him too much last night.
But now he's got the shutout. He's won a game for the first time in the Stanley Cup playoffs. He's
So if
probably
you're-
feeling pretty good.
Okay, so if Pickard's healthy, who plays Game 5?
Pickard,
You think?
yes.
You don't ride the hot hand? No faith in Stuart Skinner, the guy who got you to 1 period from the Stanley Cup final?
I think Pickard's been better for him.
Well, clearly he has. He's
But
6-0.
you know what? Knobloch, and last week was the first time I'd ever really been around him.
Pretty soft smoking.
Yeah,
smart guy.
He's not an asshole like the other guy, like Jay Woodcroft was.
No.
I actually walked out of that presser saying, you know what, I kind of like this guy.
And he's not as fun and entertaining as Pete and Bruce.
No, very dry.
But he just very systemic and just goes down
very
the line. And,
very thoughtful.
Right.
You know,
very
there's
well spoken.
no drama.
No.
You know what? And I think the fans got a little bit of a taste of that last night when he was asked in one of the bench side interviews. Catherine Tappan, I think it was, asked him about the penalties, and he didn't act like an asshole. He basically said, "Hey, you know what? We can't take so many penalties, and we've done a good job of killing them." That's exactly what I want my coach to say in that situation. Guy's a good coach. He's a good coach, and I think he's a winner. I hope they don't win, but I think at some point they will. I think at some point they will with him behind the bench. And listen, at the end of the day, for the Golden Knights, they've got to find a way to be better. Last night was, and they know, and Bruce knows. He probably let them know. Last night was inexplicable.
I don't think he had to let him know anything.
He didn't have to. You're right. He didn't have to say a word.
I don't think he had to say one word.
But-
I think they got on the plane this morning. They actually stayed the night last night.
Probably the right thing to do.
And Bruce talked about he very rarely goes in the room after the game because the emotions are just they're raging.
Yeah, he
right?
doesn't
Especially-
want to stir the pot.
Yeah, and we've gone over this ad nauseum. Veteran group, veteran leadership, ultimately completely self-aware,
Yeah.
responsible. They know that was unacceptable. I mean, it's so unlike them to not be opportunistic.
In that type
And
of
they
situation,
they had the opportunity to seize the momentum, bring it back to T-Mobile, make a best of 3 out of it, and they didn't do it. And there is no one above criticism at this point, but we're not going to get into that. If the Golden Knights don't make it out of the season, we'll be able to talk candidly and in depth about playoff performances and things like that. But we're not going there because we ain't there.
well,
I mean, simple as that. We're close.
yeah,
I mean, we can see the door to the exit of the season, but I mean,
do you want to know first of all, full marks to Alex Pietrangelo last night because they were targeting him, and he didn't miss. I mean, he went out there, he played, he got his fucking ass kicked last night, and I think there was some clear messaging sent by Edmonton. He's going to be a marked man again at the Fortress.
they might know he's hurt.
They may, he
That
did.
feels like my spidey sense
Yeah.
says that when they do something like that, they know something.
Well, or retribution.
I think they're you talking about for the Draisaitl thing last year.
Well, they keep fucking replaying it. So
They
but
do that because they need content.
Let me ask you this: how many players do the Golden Knights have in the top 50 in scoring in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
None.
They have 2.
Oh, Jack's got 8 assists probably.
Yeah,
and a goal.
Jack has 10 points. He has 1 goal.
1 and 9.
But here's the telling statistic about Jack: -7.
Well, a bunch of that was in the first 2 games.
Right.
So I think you have to.
And the other guy they have, Mark Stone, 8 points, 4 goals, 4 assists. He's a -4.
Again,
Then they have Pietrangelo and Carlson both tied for 50th with 6 points each.
well, I mean,
But-
clearly they're not getting enough.
Well, here's my question to you. I will excuse Pavel Dorofeyev because he missed a bunch of games.
Okay.
Where is Tomas Hertl? Where is Shea Theodore? Where are these guys who had unbelievable regular seasons for this team? I mean, we're not talking one series. I mean, I look on the list, and Cam Fowler is 10th. He played 7 games, and he's a D-man. But Hertl,
Yeah,
not there.
I agree with the context of your point, but your point is skewed because the Edmonton St. Louis series was a bunch of 6-7.
Winnipeg.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Winnipeg series was 6-5, 5-3. It was a series that lacked defensive substance, whereas the Golden Knights series with Minnesota was very tightly contested. This one is very tightly contested, except for games 1 and 4. But I think plus minus is okay as a reference, but I don't bank too much on it. But listen, Jack knows he had to be better, right? They all know they have to be better. Secondary scoring in the regular season wasn't an issue. Replacing Marchessault and Chandler Stevenson and Amadio, we thought was the big issue going into the season.
They did that in the regular season.
But it turned out, the regular season hockey and playoff hockey are only related because they both share the word hockey.
It's a fair point.
The actual games themselves are not remotely similar.
No, it's a very but
And I'm not making listen, I am 1000% not making excuses for the lack of performance by all of those people that you have mentioned. Some of it is puck luck. If you live and die on puck luck, you're basically dead before you start living. But yes, Hertl needs to finish. We need more from the guys who gave it in the regular season. You have to give full marks to Edmonton. And they've been the better team overall, but not in such a significant way. 1 bounce in overtime, 1 call in overtime. This series is easily 2-2, but that's, again, We don't talk about hypotheticals. We talk about reality. Game 5 is at the Fortress tomorrow night. You'll be on press row. I'll be in beautiful sunny Isles Beach watching it on my computer, looking at the sunset, but watching nonetheless. Let's wrap it up with a very simple question. Do they get out of tomorrow night?
I think they win tomorrow. I don't think they win Game 6 in Edmonton.
I'm torn. They should win Game 5 tomorrow night. This is not a team they're not a wilting flower.
They're not going to lay down.
They're not. They better not fucking lay.
No,
down.
they won't. They know. Listen. Their track record when playing bad games and bouncing back and playing really good, it's pretty good. And they also and the fucking cliche, winner, there's no tomorrow. Like, they fucking know.
Yeah.
But like, you've got a veteran group. You've got guys, the cliche, but guys like Stone, Pietrangelo.
Who's going to drag him into the fight and get him over the line tomorrow night?
I think, you know what? I'm going to go with a guy who probably is a little bit maybe unheralded, although he had a really good season. I'm going to go with Brett Howden. I think Brett Howden, he plays a physical game. He's got the ability to score. We saw him up on the top line last night. I think Bruce maybe has to go back to that, maybe move Barbashev down and put Howden back up with Eichel and Stone, because you've got to find scoring somewhere. And
he scored some big playoff goals.
He's scored some really big goals. I think Howden's the guy who drags them in. The nicest guy in the room will be the guy who drags you into the scrap. And listen, I'm not this type of person, but if Zach Hyman continues to hit your fucking goalie, then you have Nick Hague fucking destroy him. I'm sorry. You cannot continue to allow.
Maybe not Nick Hague. Maybe Keegan Colasar.
Colasar. Someone needs to
closer in stature.
Someone needs to light his ass up. Because even after the Kane goal, right? It's 3-0. Guess who's in the crease making contact with the fucking goalie?
I expect a Herculean effort out of the Golden Knights tomorrow night. And then, all bets are off. It becomes, a race to winning a game. If you were a gambling man, the chances of the Golden Knights winning the series are what percent? 10?
Maybe. I don't know what the numbers are. I don't gamble. I think I would. Well, first of all, I wouldn't bet it.
No, I would not. I would not bet it
because the value just is probably there, but
they've never come back from 3-1
twice in their history. They've been down 3-1.
Right.
Once to was it Montreal, and
yeah.
I feel like Dallas in the bubble.
Maybe, but anyway, haven't.
It hasn't happened.
Right.
Yeah, and it's not going to happen. I just don't see it. I think listen, we're the distinct advantage right now for the Oilers, and it was one that I did not ever expect. Their depth has been better. Like if you're getting beat by McDavid and Draisaitl,
right?
There's nothing you could do about it.
But they don't normally get beat by McDavid.
No, but they're getting beat by fucking guys like Connor Brown,
right.
Evander Kane. Who was it? There's some last night. Adam Henrique, Corey Perry had 2 goals the other night, and granted they lost that game, but still, like Edmonton is getting scoring from
up and down.
Up and down. They're all 4 lines are producing for them. Last night it was the third line that was really good for them. So the depth for Vegas hasn't shined. I think Stone has been really good for Vegas in the series. Outside of him, it's hard for me to look and say someone else has been really good. William Karlsson, he's had moments.
He's had a lot more than moments.
Yeah, he's probably the only one.
He's a lot. Yeah,
him and Stone have been outside of that. Like for 4 games, I can't say this guy's been great. This guy's been good.
All right. Well, that's going to wrap up episode 110. Episode 111 will either be the epilogue / post-mortem, or miraculously we'll be talking about
Western Conference Finals.
Western Conference Finals. Thanks to our sponsors, Las Vegas Advisor at lasvegasadvisor.com, my good friend Dr. John Pierce at agelessforever.net, and by Joe Riccio and Boris at marathonlawgroup.com. Can you believe I forgot the fucking plug? I read them. I don't even read them. I memorize them and do them every single week. Old age is a bitch. What can I tell you? Thanks all of you for subscribing, liking, comments. We'll try and find one funny soundbite to put up there as a teaser for the episode. If episode 111 is the post-mortem, we'll do a lot of thanks and stuff like that. But we've covered it all. We've talked about officiating. We've talked about the 4 series. We've implemented the 5-minute rule, which was pretty effective.
Yeah, it was good.
We've cut about
15 minutes or so.
15 minutes off the episode, so I'm feeling good about this new format that
Which I know
working at.
I know the viewers like.
Right.
That's 15 minutes less of my ugly face.
And so that'll wrap up 110, and we'll see you for 111. I guess hopefully talking about the Western Conference Finals. We're out of here.